All right, Shalom. Want to give all praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai Ba'Shem, Rakha Kodash, double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there pushing the truth across the four corners of the earth, waking up the elect, pushing the name of Yahweh Yahweh Shai across the earth. Just real quick, man, there was a response to Apostle Tahar's video he put up about Jake being a degenerate, the degenerate plant, aka the Israelites, and every brother across the planet Earth, but mainly here in the States, mainly here in Babylon, we could do a response and we could show you some degenerate behavior, some monkey shit, some crazy shit, because brothers, we live in these different neighborhoods, or you grew up in the hood or whatever, and you see all kind of just crazy and foul and antic shit, and you have your own development, your own years, your own friends, but then even out of your own friends, even out of people who you try to get around normal people, you start to see the same shit too. And that's why the scriptures are written for our learning and our understanding. Because what does it say? Can two walk together, lest ye be agreed? Our people, they want to walk together. They want to, well, at least they say they do. They want to come back as a nation. They want to have a certain amount of power, just like with this camera thing. She's getting a lot of backlash because people can clearly see that she's a plant. Kind of in so-called black society for Edomites, so-called plant. And, she has no connection with so-called black people. And I believe the brother was saying that her father's an Elamite. I believe that's what he is, a Elamite. And basically that's what our people have been subject to. These different tears and all these other people, they go through our society. And she actually went to a so-called HBCU, historically black college or university, which that doesn't mean shit. And then she pledged into a so-called black fraternity. So, sorority, sisterhood. So, she went through the steps that Jake takes to try and legitimize themselves in Esau society. She became an honorary Greek. She did all of that shit. But people can clearly recognize she's not one of us. She's not one of us, and the things that she set up don't represent us. And the point being that that's an example of the leadership that our people have had. That kind of bullshit. That's a huge example of the leadership, not only in the so-called community for Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, but for the Northern Kingdom as well, because they get the same thing. They get a bunch of terrors, conquistadors who lead over them, and they get into that degenerate shit. That's why you go in these different Latin American countries. They're growing marijuana, they're growing and processing cocaine. They're doing all this degenerate shit because they get paid to do it, and their leaders allow them to do that shit. Okay, and this is a quick article on Rome. Yeah, because the Lord has said he's setting up a standard, and just like with any other standard, you put something nice in the hood, and in 2 weeks the shit is already fucked up. You notice that you put something new, you put just like here where I'm at. In Ferguson, where the Michael Brown shit is happening, they put up they put a Starbucks, and they say, Starbucks is gonna appease the people, blah blah. This is gonna be a business for Jake to get hired. And I went in there the other day, and you had all Edomite homosexual men, and all just completely out of their fucking mind. Negro women. And when I say completely out of the mind, the rainbow hair, the purple hair, crazy attitude, the nose piercings and all that shit, degeneracy. And that shit is allowed, that shit is pushed, that shit is kept going. Okay, they like to say it's by the left, it's by the liberals or whatever, which the large majority is by liberals. But shit, on the right side too, they just do that shit in secrecy, in darkness. But this is some of and this is what the Lord said about us, man. This is what was written, because you got our people who come up and they ask, what is this about? Who are we? What are we supposed to be doing? One of the first things you learn is what? Deuteronomy 7:6. For thou art a holy people, unto the Lord thy power. Thy power hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Above all people that are on the face of the earth. And there's billions of people on the earth. If we're special, set up to be above all of them, you got people who can build, they can build a house with their bare hands. You got people of the other nations, they can do everything that Americans can do. They can set up factories. They can, that's what a lot, like in China, they make a lot of phones, they make cars, they got a lot of production plants. So it doesn't just boil down to money. It doesn't just boil down to, the things that you put your hands on, but it boils down to your spirit, and who you are in your spirit. And, that character, to be able to dig deep down and know yourself and see yourself and correct yourself, is something that our people, they don't want to do. Right? That's another verse. What's that? My people are Sodus, they have not known me. Because a lot of our people, they reflect deep in their mind and they see it, but, then they don't have the character to make the steps towards becoming, that person that they know that they could be. And that's what the Israelites push. That's why we get so much backlash. That's why we got basically kicked out of a spot where we were preaching at. Because we preach against degenerate behavior and degeneracy. And that's all you had walking through that were, for the majority part, Edomite degenerates, Israelite degenerates. And then you had some other people speckled in. It's verse 7. The Lord did not set his love upon you, nor choose you, because ye were more in number than any people, for ye were the fewest of all people. And it's not about, even in the Black consciousness community, they're talking about 2025, that there would be more people of color in the U.S. than so-called Edomites. Well, first off, we might not even get that far. And second off, that's not what it's about. That's beautiful, but for you to have majority of people and, them to have all the power, all the resources, it doesn't matter. That's just going to make your people have more infighting over limited resources. Just like now, you go in these so-called hoods, urban communities, all these places that people, love to represent and claim to be from. And it's dirty, it's worn down, it's beat up. Even if you don't have that much, you got Jake, they just throw trash right on the side, right where they live at, right in the front of their house. They'll throw trash. They had trash in the front yard. Just building, just some of the building just fucking leaning over. The foundation is cracked. House got big ass holes in it. They don't upkeep it. So everything the apostle was saying was correct. Hey, I've seen it for myself. I've seen it because I'm in the place where I'm at, man, is one of the most degenerate places probably in the history of this earth. St. Louis, Missouri, one of the most degenerate places to ever exist, where in some places you can't even walk without being shot at. You just can't even go. Crazy. Esau, they'll harass you, they'll fuck with you when you come in their neighborhood, but once they see that you have some sense, they kind of got to leave you alone. Jake, it's not even like that. And I just had one more, man, because that's the reason. Ultimately, we know what's going to happen to this kingdom. We know what's going to happen to America because it's written in the scriptures. But comparing this place to the one of the places that this place, the spirit of this place comes from, and the people of this place come from. Let's see what happened. It's internal causes. This is for the fall of the Roman Empire. It says, jumping down. It says if one accepts the idea that the cause of the fall was due in part to the possible moral decay of the city, its fall is reminiscent of the decline of the Republic centuries earlier. Historian Polybius, a 2nd century BCE writer, pointed to an actual dying republic years before it actually fell, a victim of its declining moral virtue and the rise of vice within. Edward Gibbon reiterated this sentiment. He diminished the importance of the barbaric threat when he claimed the rise of Christianity as a factor in the tale of woe for the empire. He hailed the religion's sole internal division and encouraged a turn the other cheek mentality, which ultimately condemned the war machine, leaving it in the hands of invading barbarians. Now, with this particular place, these Edomites, they've studied Rome. They've studied the different things that influenced the end of Rome and the rise of Rome. And that's one of the main things you study when you're in Esau's school system is Rome. Rome this, Rome that, Rome and the Holocaust. Two of the main things that you study. That's because those are the two, Amalek being in the house of Esau, that's the things that they want you to know about. Now, with this particular place, though, the similarities are the same. Just like in Rome, they had Israelites in enslavement. They had Israelites on the bottom. They had us, even in the acting world, they had Israelites, because the slaves, they all had a trade. Even in Rome, they were given a trade. So you had slaves who were actors. You had slaves who were workers. You had slaves who were builders, all this and that. And just like in this society, you had slaves in the gladiatorial arena, just like the apostle put that one up, which, a brother put me on to Jordan Burroughs, the brother of Bach, put us on to him, a while back. And that dude is, he that's a bad man in the ring. Of course, we know about, of course, John Jones and Junior Dos Santos and Francis Negreanu, all these other people, Jake in the gladiatorial arena, basketball, football, all these other things too, which are kind of spiritual successors to being a gladiator, LeBron James, etc. So, the point being, man, we weren't created to be Romans. We weren't created to be Americans. We weren't created to fucking try to pursue a career, playing basketball for this team, getting a contract under Esau for that team. We were created to be greater than all these other nations. And that's one thing you have to accept. It starts with you. Because our people, they fight for equality. We want to be equal. And we want to, that's all good and well. But fuck that. We were created better. We were created better. We were created to be more than equal. And that's why we're held to a standard. And it starts at a personal level. But just like the scriptures say, I believe it talks about the reprobate, the just like you put the tin in the lid. Matter of fact, let me get that and I can close off on that. Cause we're coming down to the wire, and it seems like degeneracy is just peaked to an all-time high. I mean, even today out, I saw You got women out just straight with booty shorts with their kids ass out. I mean, it's a like it too. This is Ezekiel 22:18. Son of man, the house of Israel is to me become dross. All they are brass and tin and iron and lead, even, in the midst of the furnace, they are even the dross of silver. And when you look up the dross, that word there is, what's that? Sayag, dross. Okay. It's probably not what I want. But anyway, the dross is, they backslide. The dross, that's the part you don't want. That's the junk. You got the actual metal, but then you got that dross too that goes with it. That build up, that sludge. So if you're like that, you're gonna be that sludge and all that shit. That's toxic. You don't want that with the pure metal. You want the pure things, and that's what we're supposed to seek to be, man. Seek to be purely what the Most High has called us to be. Hey, but call halal Yahweh Shai, Lord willing. This is edifying for you. Hey, just a response, man. We gotta keep the spirit going on these spiritual topics and keep calling for the destruction of this place of Bobby Ball.